thing. Okay. All right. Okay, so welcome everybody. I have to go through some reading material here to get us going. We are using Zoom for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes of this meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. Attendees will join in listening mode. They can click and raise their hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in order they are raised. All questions must be directed through the chair. As a preliminary matter, the chair permit to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear us. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mary Malaves.
Here.
Liz Holland. Matt Peel.
Here.
Niles Parker.
Here.
Garrison Beal.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. David Sharp, me. Sean Tosh be in shortly. And anticipated speakers, please respond in the affirmative. Through Patnode.
Here.
Good morning. This is an open meeting. And to be conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting does feature public comment for this meeting of the Visitor Advisory Committee. We are convening by video conference Zoom app posted on the town's website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that any other folks be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the meeting. All supported meeting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning over to the first item of the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to, I kind of split that up by mistake, sorry. Remember to speak clearly. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. And after members have spoken, the chair will forward public comment to those members of the public. And then we also have the agenda protocol, which allows that we have public comment right now as the second part of the agenda. And I don't see any public of here, so I guess we can move on to the next part of the agenda. So, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you, David. All right. Third item on the agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair for the 2024 term of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee. Are there any nominations from the floor? Let's not all jump in here.
I nominate you as the chair, Mary.
Well, I'll nominate Matt as vice. I think we could do it again for another year. I'm happy to accept if you would like me to continue for one more year. Matt?
I'm very happy to accept if everyone's okay with that as well.
Okay, David, do we have to call for a roll call on this?
Yes, yeah, that's
Okay, so to accept the chairs and vice chair for the 2024 term, Mary Malaves chair, Matt Peel vice chair, Liz?
Accept.
Niles?
Yes,
Mary, I think
accepted.
you have to do it individually, the chair first and then the vice chair.
Okay. I was going to abstain for myself, but I guess I can go ahead and vote Matt as vice chair and then Liz Holland, chair and vice chair.
Yes.
Niles Parker
Yep,
two
yes,
for both.
both, yep.
Yes. Garrison.
Yep, aye to both.
All right. Matt Peel.
Yes to both.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 11th minutes that have been circulated in the packet. Are there any changes to the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll have a motion to accept as written in the June 11th meeting. Liz Holland,
Yes, please, accept.
Matt Peel,
Aye.
Niles Parker,
Accept.
Garrison
Aye.
Peel, and I, Mary Malavich, chair, accept as written, and they may be put into the record. All right, moving along, conversation with Andrew. Drew, as we know you, Pat Node, very nice to see you here at our meeting. I have a little 5-second announcement I'd like to make about Drew and his crew at the annual meeting of the Nantucket Garden Club on August 21st. Drew and members of his staff and Libby Gibson were invited to accept an award from the Garden Club for their due diligent and wonderful work to get the fountain back on Main Street. It was no small feat for them to work with the forgery company and to just deal with insurance. And to be honest, if you were here until October and then came back in June, you never knew that it was missing. So I just have to say thank you, Drew. It was wonderful to see you at that meeting. Okay, moving right along. You are up to talk to us about Department of Public Works, and I think you must realize by now that the Visitor Services Committee is here to help and assist you as we assist the public. So if there's any areas, I'm sure there'll be questions later on, please think about how we can help you, either getting messages out or whatever. So good morning, Drew. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here today, and thanks for your kind words, Mary. I will say you kind of stole my thunder. My understanding from David was that you guys are kind of looking, more or less for an update on summer 2024 from the DPW, and I was going to start at the top, which was the fountain returning to Main Street in June, which was a nice way to kick off the summer for sure. Our crew is very busy throughout the summer. We're very busy throughout the entire year, but we have a lot of routine maintenance in the summer. So that's everything from roadside mowing, brush cutting, gravel road, maintenance and grading, which was kind of nice. We had a fairly dry season, so it wasn't too demanding. Obviously it happens a lot more in February, March, but we're out patching potholes and pruning trees. On that, to that end, we work closely with the Wisconsin Civic Association throughout the summer. We have a good relationship with Carol Greenberg, who's the president of the Wisconsin Civic Association, and we've spent a lot of time working on the Bluff Walk, which is obviously extremely busy and a big part of Wisconsin, especially for visitors. We've also been working constantly with a real estate specialist to monitor, track, and enforce encroachments into the right of way, into bike paths and sidewalks. And so that's everywhere from downtown all the way to Wisconsin, Matticat, and addressing safety concerns around the island, which are certainly at the forefront in the busy summer season. Another huge thing for us is trash. So trash pickup, we do at, obviously we have a ton of receptacles downtown, and then we set them out at public beaches and public parks for the summer. So we do 2 rounds of pickup 7 days a week. So we have people on the weekends going to these places, and they fill up quick, as you can imagine, especially some areas of downtown. And they'll clean off the lids of the trash receptacles. They're always covered in ice cream and things like that. So try to keep downtown nice for all of the visitors and residents of Nantucket throughout the busy summer season. We also set out extra receptacles and a dumpster at Nobody, for example, for the 4th of July. So, that's always a big, big week of the year, prepping for that. And then litter around the island and at beaches and parks and stuff is always very challenging, right? So we come in the morning and find out there's a late night beach party at, some location, and there's a mountain of trash. And then obviously there's also, dumping, where people from Pocomo or Tom Nevers don't feel like driving to the solid waste facility. So we'll dump it, at some public space, and we'll find out about it. So it's that's kind of a constant battle. But I think this summer overall went really smooth from a public trash and litter perspective. To that point, solid waste facility out here in Mattocket is very, very busy in the summer, and as is the take it or leave it. So we've been working really hard to improve the conditions and the processes at the take it or leave it, both for the public and for our staff. We recently got a couple more shipping containers, which is great to store materials and be able to sort them and kind of organize stuff before putting it out for taking. And there's actually a little office in one of the, it's kind of like a break room office kind of area that's hooked up to electric. So it's got heat for the, depths of the winter and air conditioning for the summer to improve the conditions for our staff, which is great. Obviously we don't do a ton of big capital projects in the right of way, in the road in the summer. I need to explain to you guys, obviously the traffic is already a concern everywhere. But we've been able to get a lot of things accomplished this summer that we're very proud of. One of which is we installed 2 new EV car charging stations at Surfside Beach, and another 2 at the Jetty's upper parking lot. They're both live, they're active, you can go use them. And there's actually been a lot of work at Jetty's. We also have the upper parking lot shed kind of between the parking lot and sandbar. That's under reconstruction right now. I was a little stunned to find out that building's like 110 years old. And so it's nice to be able to do some meaningful improvements. It's getting a new roof, new siding, windows and doors. So that'll be a great facility for the town to use downtown, especially with summer traffic, to have a little bit of a kind of an auxiliary, somewhat quote unquote downtown place for us to use. We actually just recently opened bids for the Jetty's tennis court reconstruction project, which was approved at last town meeting. And so we're working to award that to the contractor, the low bidder, and we're planning to have that work complete before next summer, which is really exciting. We also spent some time improving Jetties and Surfside parking lots by striping them to try to control some of the parking issues. Obviously we still have to kind of hope that people obey, the striping and signage and stuff. But I think they both look really good at this point. Children's Beach lawn restoration started yesterday. I guess there was kind of a fungus last summer down there that kind of wreaked havoc, and obviously there's a lot of events. It's just a really busy area down at Children's Beach between the concerts and other events and just summer camps, and it's just a really busy facility. So it'd be really nice to improve the lawn down there. Went back to Jetty's real quick. Pops obviously is a huge event for Nantucket and for the hospital, but it's a big event for us. We spend about a week leading up to it, doing a lot of prep in the area. That includes Halbert Ave and North Beach Street in the areas where there's parking for the event. And we assist, police and fire with setting up, barricades and other stuff. Unfortunately, we also spend a good amount of time afterwards putting the area back together. The boardwalk, the wooden ramp, walkway that goes out towards the beach at Jetty's, gets taken up. We end up putting that back. We moved the trash receptacles back, the bike racks, and then we had a real pleasant surprise. There was a massive 55-gallon drum of cooking oil that was left in the upper Jetty's parking lot after the event. So big event, but it takes a lot of our time to set up and kind of clean up after the event. But we're happy to be part of it. It's a really great event. Another thing that we've been able to accomplish this summer was reconstructing sidewalks on Amelia Drive. They're actually wrapping that up today. As you know, that's a tree-lined street, and the roots from those trees have really wreaked havoc on the brick sidewalks, pretty much full length. So addressing those trip hazards was a priority for us. And given the nature of the area, we were able to do the work without really disturbing too much of the parking and traffic. And it's kind of a tricky road to do it on, but considering we can't get a lot done in the middle of the summer and in the dead of the winter, it was a nice opportunity for us to get some stuff done. And so that area looks really, really good. And we're really pleased with how that came out. And then after Victor Brandon's crew wraps up on Amelia Drive, they're actually going to be starting some sidewalk work downtown tomorrow or Thursday. So they're going to start on Center Street at Broad Street, address some of the trip hazards there. Fortunately, not right in front of a ton of businesses. And then we have a long list of stuff that we'd like to get to this fiscal year as far as brick sidewalks downtown. We did a lot of restoration of sidewalks last fiscal year, and I think they look really good throughout downtown. So that's Center Street from Maine to India, up across from the Jared Coffin House, a couple areas on Federal Street and South Water Street. So it was nice walking around downtown this summer and seeing all those areas still look really, really good. This fall, there's going to be a lot of construction work going on. Obviously, there's a big force main project that's still continuing, largely kind of just on the outskirts of downtown Pine Street area. But that project is going to be full steam ahead. It's a sewer department project. It's not my project, but there's going to be a lot of paving and sidewalk restoration in downtown, and then like along Surfside Road. We have a lot of paving scheduled as well. The water main extension west of the airport has some paving, so there's going to be a lot going on this fall and in the spring, weather permitting. And that kind of wraps up my summary of DPW's summer 2024. It is the changing of the seasons. It's September. We always joke that come August we start thinking about snow and ice. So we're prepping for that as we speak. Our central fleet guys are getting the salt spreaders up and running and checking out the plows and lights and all that stuff. And then that's a lot of stuff. That's kind of my list of things that we've been doing outside the office. But I think I actually mentioned it to Sean Todd, our little retreat the other day. We had $25 million in capital projects appropriated for the DPW for this fiscal year. Obviously, some of those are multi-year projects, but there's always a ton going on in the office that people don't, get to see or hear about. So that's my update for summer 2024. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes and chat.
Drew, it's Mary. I have a question. First of all, I don't think the general public understands how busy you are 7 days a week. I mean, it's like an unbelievable support for this island. I think where I'm coming from, my question would be in terms of our visitors. I'm thinking of maybe first-time visitors and not necessarily seasonal residents, because I think they understand recycling and trash and all that. But if you think of in the future, there's anything we could do to educate the public, and whether it's through the boats coming in or publicity or whatever, to make your job easier, especially the in-town trash, I know can be a nightmare. I think we would be more than happy to, get the word out and, help educate the public.
Yeah.
Liz?
I was actually going to bring up the same thing in terms of the recycling, because I know, we have the receptacles downtown, but even along Straight Wharf, if you look in any of the trash containers, it's nobody's there. The recycling is right across, just 20 feet away, and I don't think that our visitors have it in their mind and then understand how seriously we do take it. So anything that Highline can do, I'd be more than happy to advocate, to the boys, to see if we can maybe get the word out a little bit more to our visitors. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a really good point. I mean, part of it, sure, is personal accountability. You know, people come out there on vacation and they see something, they just throw whatever it is wherever they can find it. But education's a big part of that. We're very fortunate to have Chris Lowe as our solid waste manager and Elise Kellogg as our recycling and solid waste coordinator. And Elise is working on a couple different initiatives, one of which is kind of a bit of a video series called Trash Hacks. And they're little digestible videos that we would be able to put out on social media and maybe through other avenues, just get the word out, things you can do to help. There's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes, and Waste Options is working on that people are, I'm sure, unaware of, and so that's no fault of their own. But little things do go a long way in terms of effectively handling and managing solid waste, and everything comes back to the dollar. Even little things like rinsing out your peanut butter container before you recycle it means that we get a better return when it goes off island to a facility. So everything has a cost to it, and so that'd be great. I really appreciate you guys offering support, because like I said, that education component's a huge part of it.
Any other questions for Drew? Matt?
Hi, Drew. Thanks for being here. Just a question for you. Do you guys have any set schedules or publish anything just for the public to, like when you guys are doing like side of the road mowing or street sweeping, or is there a request process for that? Kind of a two-part question there that, if a neighborhood wanted to, see a side of the road or something. I know it's kind of mixed, like some are private, some are town.
Yeah.
So
That's a really good point. I forgot to touch on that. So we instituted rolled out a new service request system. The product is called C-Click Fix. There is an app you can download. It's called Click and Fix Nantucket, and that's for all things DPW. So you can get it in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. But if you go to the town website, you can go to the DPW page and click on Submit a Service Request. And that's a great way for us to find out about what needs to be done. Believe it or not, we don't drive around all day looking for stuff to do. We have a constant backlog of stuff and try to figure out the best way to be efficient with that. And so we truly rely on the public to let us know about things, especially in areas that aren't maybe as well traveled. For example, we don't pick up public trash. There's no public receptacles at Pocono. So it's great if someone lets us know, hey, someone dumped a bag of trash out here. And so that's a really good way for us to intake those requests and then sort that stuff. So for example, if there's a pothole, we don't just go out and patch that one and come back and then find something else to do. So we'll basically collect them as they come in and then find a day to go out and do a bunch of that type of stuff all at once. As far as road grading, brush cutting and mowing, we are on a fairly regular schedule with that stuff, but it also kind of depends on, like road grading, for example. If it doesn't rain, then we're not doing it nearly as often. And then as far as mowing and brush cutting, like I said, it is kind of a fairly consistent schedule, but also dependent on other things like getting ready for the pops or the 4th of July, other things that may be more pressing, and then even just our staffing. We have 48 positions at the DPW. I think we have 38 employees, so we're not fully staffed. And obviously summer's a popular time for people to take some time off to spend with their family and with visitors. And so we're kind of always juggling that stuff. It would be nice if we could put out something that says we mow Cliff Road on this day, Tom Nevers on this day, Old South on this day. But we can't really keep to that strict of a schedule. But thank you for mentioning the request system, because it's been incredibly helpful for us to organize our activities. And we can communicate with the public. We get requests on private roads, and we can let them know, like, unfortunately it's a private road, we're not going to be able to do X, Y, or Z. But I think it's been really well received, and I know on our end it's been extremely helpful. So highly encourage people to download the app and let us know when a street light's out, or whatever it may be.
Any other questions for Drew? Matt?
sorry, one more last question for me. Obviously traffic's kind of been a very big topic this last summer. And what's your guy, have you guys kind of looked at like the process? I know just the town, the bid process and all that can be a very lengthy process. As far as getting things done, I know there's a lot of projects, but are you guys kind of looking at that, trying to speed things up to kind of improve some of the infrastructure around town? I know like the Lovers Lane project is, I mean, I think it's been going on for 5 years and we're still a couple of years out. And so I think it's a good example of how long it kind of takes to get some of these big projects done. And it would be nice if it was done tomorrow, but obviously that's not the real, the town where we're at now, with all the new houses and the year-round population growing so much. It's like we kind of have to, I feel like we kind of got to focus on our infrastructure to really make the visitors that come to the island a little more accessible and easier to get around and lighten up the traffic in ways. So are you guys kind of looking at those processes and seeing what can be done to almost speed it up? I know there's a lot there, but
Yeah, no, we have a lot of different projects. To go back to what you mentioned about Lovers. So we are actually preparing in the next, hopefully 2 months to put that out to bid. And so that would be Lovers Lane, Orkawa in Monahans. A big part of that is drainage improvements and a bike path. As part of the select board's strategic plan, the goal is to provide facilities. So bike paths, even little things like bike racks. We want people to bike or walk, which helps alleviate traffic. And so we need to provide the facilities to encourage people to do that or enable them to do that and to do it safely, especially visitors. Obviously, a lot of people come and stay at inns downtown and they're able to rent bikes. But how do we get people in and out of downtown safely? And then when they do get to Jetty's Beach, for example, is there a place to leave the bike? So we're constantly working on that. I work very closely with Mike Burns on a lot of the planning efforts and design for those projects. You're right, things do take a while, not just from a design perspective, but if there's easements that are required, working with homeowners, abutters to these projects is challenging. But one thing that I thought was incredibly successful this summer was the free fare transit program. I actually texted Libby Gibson on the 4th of July because I live on Hooper Farm, and drove to 167 Raw on Hummock Pond Road. And I kid you not, there were people waiting at every single bus stop that I went by. I think that's kind of twofold. One, sure, it's free. So save the couple bucks going in and out of downtown. And that should, in theory, help alleviate some traffic. But I think a big part of that was that there was constant outreach to remind people that the bus exists and that there's a lot of new buses. They're nice, they're clean, they bring you right to downtown. You don't have to deal with parking. So I feel like leaning in heavily on finding a funding source to continue that would be a huge thing going forward. It seems like Nantucket gets busier every summer, but if we can get more people on the bus, I think that's really helpful. And it helps our year-round local population as well. I've heard from people that work downtown that it's challenging. Like, where do you park when you have an 8 or 10 hour shift at a restaurant? But if the bus is an option and brings you right downtown and you're only a block or two away, and it goes right pretty much past your house or very close, I think the bus is a big part of helping kind of solve the congestion issues. But I also think it's important to remember that it's kind of a 10-week problem, and so in August, it's easy to, say, oh my God, we got to do something about this. And then it's kind of like 10 months of us saying, actually, it's not so bad around here. So trying to find that balance between, not being too over kind of reactionary. But I think between bike paths, creating those facilities, leaning in on the bus, and doing some road improvements to allow people to have different ways to get from A to B, hopefully we'll all come together to help improve transportation on the island for those 10 weeks a year. So there's always a ton of work going on, and we work with Mass DOT pretty closely. They have 3 different projects in the queue. Pulpus at Milestone intersection, that bid has already been opened, but hasn't officially been awarded yet. So that construction you'll see happen pretty soon. That includes a bike path to go from Monomoy Road out to the bike path that cuts behind Island Lumber from Pulpus to Milestone. Then the next 2 projects are in their infancy, but they did select Fuss and O'Neill to be the designer of those, and that's reconstructing the rotary at Orange, Old South, and Milestone, and looking at intersection improvements, likely installing a rotary on Milestone at Nobody Farm. So obviously 2 areas where there's a lot of congestion. So hopefully those have some meaningful improvements. And then going forward, the next project that Mass DOT will be working on, which was a request of the town and Mike Burns specifically, is looking at widening ever so slightly, but even 2 feet of widening of Milestone Road from the rotary out to Bunker Road. Would be really helpful. When you drive that, if you pay attention to the edge of the road, it's deteriorating pretty quickly. And that obviously, that corridor from the rotary to Bunker Road is just constant large trucks hauling material from barges and fuel out that area. So, I think all of those together, plus some of the other stuff we're working on, hopefully make some really meaningful improvements for the next, July and August, in the years to come.
Thanks, Drew. Niles?
Thank you, Mary. And thanks, Drew, for the presentation today, but we're also talking about the bus just then. It was something I wanted to mention today. Just anecdotally and talking to people and then seeing the people pick up the bus right outside of the museum, it seemed incredibly popular. And I can't count how many comments I heard about how great it was that it was free. And, well, we might as well just take the bus, it's free. And that was true for our staff as well as many of our visitors. So anecdotally, again, it seemed like a very, very popular service provided this summer.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Niles. I think that's what all I heard from, visitors that were here. It was great. Teenage children could hop on the bus out of town, come into town. Parents were not driving them. They thought that was wonderful, in many respects. So down the road, Drew, you'll have to enhance little bus stops along the way, since some of them are just poles in the side of the road. So hopefully that would, we can continue this shuttle bus. That was sort of the goal way back 25 years ago when it was brought to town meeting. But any other questions for Drew? Well, I thank you for being here. There again, reach out to us and to Shanta and David if there's anything you feel the committee could help you with. I will say Tristy downtown is a wonderful addition to town. He is Mr. Hospitality and is doing a great job.
Yeah, he really, he's a big part of why downtown looks as good as it does. So
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah, totally agreed.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. Thanks, Drew. You're welcome to stay
Thanks for
on, but I
coming.
know you have a busy schedule. So thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. I have just received a phone call that I have to drop off right now. So Matt, if you just would be so kind as to, close out the meeting for me. I'm sorry for this. I'll explain later. Everything's good. It's just, I got a phone call and I have to go meet someone and it can't wait. So thanks so much. David, Shanta, keep us posted for the next meeting. Thanks, Matt.
Right. Yeah, no problem.
Bye, Mary.
Good. Bye. Okay. Looks like next up is the director's report.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. So it was a busy summer, to say the least. I think it was very apparent. Just looking about town, we have a few projects that we're working on and a few that we just wrapped up. One being the inaugural Children's Book Day that happened this past Saturday. That was really successful. Throughout the entire day, we had about 110 kids moving through Children's Beach. I was able to connect with the concessionaire after, and she said it was by far one of their busiest days outside of 4th of July down there at Children's. So she was really excited about that. And the lawn down there did not deter anyone. So that was good. No, we've been getting a lot of complaints about the lawn. We are We just approved the requisition finally for the special events and cultural affairs position that I feel like I've been talking about for the last 5 years, even though I've only been here for 2 years. So that should be getting posted, ideally this week, so that we can finally start, kicking that off. And then, we are working with Nantucket Inn on securing a date for our, Chowder Fest finally coming back, which will be really exciting. Working with communications department on putting together, I don't want to say an application form, but like a sign up form, that we can blast out to all of our restaurants and caterers, so that they can sign up and we can get that back. In the chamber, we were able to dig out the chowder cup out of storage. It's gonna need some polishing, but it still looks great. So that's sort of what we're working on. As far as numbers for this past summer, we saw about a 3.75% increase, from last year in visitors to the island, which isn't very surprising. It certainly felt like it, despite all the issues with the ferries this past season. So that's sort of my wrap up. I should have the exact numbers month over month for the packet for next month. We're working through our recontracting placer for this, coming year, because our contract is up with them. Happy to answer any questions. Like, so much has happened since we last met that I don't know what would interest you. Between all that, we had Juneteenth, we had 4th of July, pops, so much. And I guess the next major event that we have coming up, as a town that's tourism related is, the Nantucket Project.
Chantal, sorry, you said a number and I didn't catch it, the increase of this summer?
When I looked, at the end of August, it was 3.75%.
Over last year, over this
Last
same
year.
time. Yeah, 3.7. Okay, thanks.
Are you guys, hey, Chantal, are you guys able to kind of calculate those by length of stay almost, like, versus day trippers and things?
Mhm.
Are you gonna break those down for the next, or will those be in the next meeting?
Yes, yeah, I can definitely pull that report.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting to see, this kind of day trippers versus who's staying here. I heard like rentals were kind of shortened. A lot of that had to do with the ferries and people getting their stuff over and things like that, cars and.
Mhm.
Yep. Matt.
Oh, Liz, yes.
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk to the group about that specific aspect where we saw a huge increase of day trippers this year. And it was very interesting because the whole flow changed from, it's always been busy in the morning. And so I would always staff, for the morning to be the power people, but it completely flipped. Well, not necessarily, it was still busy in the morning, but ended up that our later boats were sold out. Some of because the steamship authority, was not running their last boat. However, a lot of people came in and said, we used to stay on Nantucket, but now we stay on the Cape and come over for the day. So I just wanted to bring that up, that the flow is changing. People are deciding to stay elsewhere, primarily because of the price point. So I just wanted to bring that up to everybody, and it's just an interesting, was very noticeable, the change this summer with that. So it'll be interesting, Chantal, to see the numbers and see exactly, how everybody did in the lodging department, just to see how they made out. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up to everybody. And so some of the smaller businesses that we have on the island, I think may not have, who relied on people coming over for a longer period of time and kind of doing things outside of just going to the beach. I think probably saw a bit of a drop. So they, I said, I've been talking to several of them and saying, well, you might want to actually do a little bit of advertising on the Cape off island and things like that, because they're staying in Airbnbs, they're staying, you know, in the hotels off island. So, you know, obviously we still were very busy, it just in general, but I think it's interesting to note that shift. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I don't have any hard numbers in terms of, you know, I think everybody's recovering from the summer, I think, honestly, at Highline. But I'm hoping maybe by next month's meeting, I'll have a little bit more idea specifically how, about that flow and how it changed and we might be thinking about how it's affecting some of our smaller businesses and, or who it is actually affecting. So just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I think that brings a good point, Shanta. Is there any feedback we can kind of give to the local businesses? I don't know, possibly in kind of tandem with the Chamber of Commerce, just kind of on from like a visitor services point of view. I know at one point you said you guys kind of working on a survey or something. Just, you know, I know it's tough because sometimes people just kind of unload on surveys or, you know, giving public comment. So sometimes information be a little skewed, but it's, you know, I think we've all kind of heard those anecdotal stories about people that used to come here, now it's too expensive, and we don't want to scare people away or get that, you know, too out there, because I think that it is, but also we have a lot of programs that make it very affordable too, like the buses and things like that. And but it's been interesting. You know, I know for us here at FedEx, I've always been able to kind of judge with our volume, the way it's coming in. And it seems like summer was very packed in July and August this year. And the shoulder seasons, you know, were down quite a bit. And I think September's kind of fallen very, so far, at least for us, volume wise and packages and things. And that's kind of what I'm hearing out there too. Again, I have no evidence, you know, to really no hard numbers yet, but I don't know. I mean, I think that'd be a good kind of topic or something. It's just kind of get some information, hear what people are saying, you know. I always kind of use like the lobster index. I know when the Current does that, it's kind of it's good information. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, I also kind of feel like is that the kind of direction? Do we need to be paying, you know, $45 at the Rose Crown for a lobster roll? You know, is that feedback that we want to give out? And it's, you know, I also heard from a lot of the restaurant industry, talking to a lot of owners and stuff in the last couple of weeks. It's just been a strange year too. You know, people are saying that they've been packed on a Tuesday and completely dead on a Friday. So it's just it's been very hard to kind of judge, and I don't know if that's due to just kind of like the weekends being like a higher ADR maybe in the hotel, so it's pushing people back off the island. I don't know, but I think it'd be definitely worth getting some information.
Definitely. I think getting those numbers will be really helpful. I can also talk to finance about seeing what the meals and rooms tax were for this past, basically up until now, to see what those look like and how they compare to previous years as well. So that you guys have something to look at. Okay.
Yeah, Garrus, you have some insight for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's I thought we as a council committee, excuse me, had a star report access, and that kind of gives us the full picture of hotels and hospitality in the area. And you know, just looking at mine and just looking through a comp set, which is essentially every hotel on the island, occupancy is up year over year. And so as far as the hotels go, I mean, I can't give you exact numbers here, but from what I'm seeing and speaking for personally, occupancy was up July and August this year. So on the hotel side, we're doing well, seems like across the island. I think, again, the word that we throw around a lot is anecdotally hearing that the houses are not doing as well. And that's where we would see kind of that drop off. But hotels were strong. Restaurants seem pretty strong this year. And biggest year on record was 2022. And this summer looks to clear that. So as far as hotels, and that's not just a ADR driven, that's occupancy driven as well. So people are coming. I think potentially the houses are what struggled probably a little bit this year, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, Garrison, because we get calls from most of the accommodations on the island for our daily rooms list throughout the summer. And there would be many days that there was nothing available for folks. So I think it's a supply and demand situation. They're just booking up really quickly. And I did hear a lot from some of our realtors that short-term rentals in their homes and were down. It would be interesting to see where they landed at the end of the season. But yeah, and even in talking to friends who have secondary dwellings on their properties, finding out that bookings that they usually get booked up a year, 6 months to a year in advance, and they were getting bookings a week before, and they had to play with the numbers a lot this year versus previous years with lowering rates and such to attract folks.
Yeah, and I think the final thing I'd say is with Veranda House and the beachside both being offline this year, that's a significant chunk of rooms that weren't available. So, I mean, you could chalk this up to compression on the market, but at the same time, that's 1/9 of the rooms that weren't available on the island this year that were usually available in past years. So hopefully when those open next year, we'll get a better idea.
Garrison, do you guys see that too? Because I heard that a lot of last minute bookings or a week or two out. Is that a measurement that you guys have?
That is, and that's just not set to this year. I think that's one of the big changes I've made. I've been on island for almost 5 years, and it's a lot of in the week for the week in the summer. So you're looking at a week where weekends are booked up, but all of a sudden, as I think Liz was mentioning, you get all this last minute, same day travel from the Cape area, and people come, and then you have a bunch of bookings last minute for midweeks. So I think a lot of hotels fill up quickly in the week for the week, especially when we talk about midweek dates.
Yeah.
Again, even planes coming in, I think pilots, and I think a lot of people coming in last minute and decide to stay. We just need to get the lobster price rolled down. I agree on that.
All right. Anything else for Chantal?
Nothing else from me, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to David, Visitor Services.
Okay, I gave you the stats for June, July, and August. As you can tell, pretty steady from the year before, except June was a little off. July was strong and August was strong. And as you can tell, one of our top questions is, where's the Cisco van? And it's interesting. Some people just come for the day to go to the Cisco brewery. And then passports is another strong indicator of people coming in to do stuff. So, and then we had phone calls were pretty steady, and the mailings were consistent. And so we had a really good summer here, very steady. And at the beginning of the year, beginning of each week, it seems to be that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday are the busiest days, and it kind of falls off until the weekend. And then it seems to be a lot of people getting ready for the week that are coming in to get stuff and getting ready for the week. So that's why Monday seems to be the busiest of the days. The other thing is that we're now in September, and we're still strong with the numbers so far. I'm also starting to lose staff as they start to go away for the season. But the office is still open 7 days a week. The airport desk closes on September 15th, and Strait Wharf is going to be open through Columbus weekend. So, and then the office will probably, towards the end of October, will probably close on Sundays at least, but we'll be open year round. So just so you know that, that's all I have.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David? All right, we're almost time. Anything else for the group?
Hey,
One.
we'll have.
Sorry. All right, so, I have to run as well, so, but I think we're out of time unless there's anything else from everybody else.
No.
All right. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, second?
Second,
Second, all right, all those in favor? Aye,
aye.
all right, thank you, guys. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.